Namaste, my friend. I have all appreciation that at last you have started understanding, not only understanding but realizing the impact of ignorance and how misidentifying shapes our lives. Every day we have moments of anxiety, reaction, duality, and a conflict. And the moment that ignorance is gone, or I would specifically say in the last session, the moment we drop those four types of identifications, our personal, professional, and social life becomes joyful. So today's session we will reflect on the joy of living in the world comes from within and not from outside. The joy of living every moment. And that is why our series this year is happiness, love, and the peace. Peace is an internal state. Can you look at the mountains or the ocean or the earth planet? Do they complain? No, I complain because I get associated with them. So the peace is an internal state of stillness and tranquility. That is the first thing. And second thing, that inner state of the peace and the tranquility cannot be dictated by the outer circumstances, conditions, people, and the relations. But we are impacted by it. And that impact is nothing but the ignorance. My master used to say that the lotus flower blooms and blossoms and grows in a mud. And as it grows, the leaves, big leaves of the lotus flower, I have seen in many places in India. So that those leaves, when you pour the water on the lotus leaves, they simply slip down. They remain untouched. That is what there is. They don't identify with the water. And they continuously support those flowers and it blooms. Basically, it is an inner calm. You are not impacted. The lotus flower is not impacted by the mud. A stinky mud, and color is also very, very bad, and in that. So this world is like a mud, Every day we have some challenges in our relationship, in our with possessions, I was told that, now I have a big house. One guy told me in Phoenix area, and I said yes. So carry the burden of that house. No, I'm not carrying the burden of the house, but I enjoy. I'm living apart and independent from my parents. I said, very good. So, but you have to take care of the lot of stuff in the house. So independence comes at a cost. But the sense of independence inside, a sense of inner calm, where the mind is no longer disturbed by the constant thoughts and emotions. Why the constant thoughts and emotions? They belong to the world outside. When you recognize that this inner calm and the peace is not affected, you are already in the state of permanent peace, and that is what you have written, and I appreciate it. You have to do not stop the journey, continue. So, what happens? That inner peace blossoms in the mud of the world. The world will remain as it is. Your son, your kids, your relations will continue to behave like that. Don't imagine, don't create a fantasy that now I'm awakened and now people will appreciate me. No. How can an ignorant can appreciate you? But you appreciate yourself. Why? You are living in peace. And your peace is not affected by, dictated by anything. So once we have that sense of the peace, a good space, the happiness also joins you. In that peace, again, another flower blooms, and that is happiness is not a temporary emotion tied to the external circumstances. It is an enduring state of the joy and contentment that we discover within. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom, a reflection of our innate joy and inherent completeness. You feel a sense of completeness in life. Happiness. Are you happy now? Listening to me? Or the mind with the past impression and the memories is haunting you? Just become aware, get rid of it, find the peace, and from that peace the happiness will come here and now. It's a common sense approach. We are not doing a high tech work. It's a common sense approach. Oh, the thoughts are coming, let thoughts get out. Get out. Because every thought pertains to the world outside. And then you have a space. In that space, you experience the peace and wait there. And from the peace blossoms the happiness and the joy. And when you have peace and happiness, you have a love. The unconditional love manifest from you within. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. That is the journey of all the meditation. Why I say use the word meditation or mindfulness? Because in meditation we recognize and realize what I recognize and realize, that the peace is my essential nature, happiness is my essential nature, and love is my essential nature. How can you enter into anxiety, stress, duality, conflict when you recognize, one, when you realize, two, when you constantly experience peace, happiness, and love in your life? That is coming from within. The moment your mind starts demanding the peace, happiness, and love from anyone outside, from the relations, my son is not calling me, and he demanded a lot of resources and the money from me. I gave him. He should have at least called me for a week. You helped with a lot of money to your son. Can you help me with the same thing? No. Because somewhere in your head, he is related to you. So you helped. You shared your wealth. So you shared it. Yes, that's all. Why you expect? That is what the identification is. One example of the identifications. This restaurant, I always used to go. They used to serve good food, but now, today, I'm totally frustrated. Don't get frustrated. Go to another restaurant. Don't ask the mind to say anything. It's enough. those identifications which we discussed last week. So I have to be aware. Am I identifying with oh, my house, this, the bathroom is stopped working, it is clogged. Don't get upset. That is the way the world is. Because the world is constantly changing. People are constantly changing. Okay, let me call the plumber and get it fixed. Finished. So even if you get into anxiety, you have to get it fixed. You are not getting into anxiety, you have to get it fixed. So the choice lies with us. Oh, let me remember my peace, happiness, and love. At least you are constant, you are consistent, you are with me, coming from within. Now I have a problem, get it fixed. Our masters in the great Himalayas, they used to live with that attitude. Hundreds of people used to visit them. No people used to visit them. In both the cases, they were happy. But yes, they were trying to manage the basic needs. And that we can apply in our daily life in the modern scenario. You are talking to your everyone. You are living in that relationship. You have a house. You're doing everything, but internally, that peace, happiness, and love supports you. If it is not, so if they are not supporting you, then you find the sense of incompleteness. Am I right? So that in sense of incompleteness, you start searching outside. Am I right? So when you start searching outside, you start depending, you get associated with objects and people and relationship. That association is identification. And that identification, the moment you are identified, it has to bring the persistent anxiety and the stress. So it is the identification. Now let me ask you that you have billion dollar. A million is not a big thing in US. So you have $1 billion in the account. Clear? You have to use this example in every time you have an anxiety. And I want to know how it works. Now tell me, does that bank account tells you that you are rich, or your mind tells you that you are rich? It is my mind, because I get associated with that bank account and the wealth. Even the $1 or $100 note is lying, and you look at him, ask, do you say that I'm rich? No, they don't so. I get associated with something outside. Here, a bank account, I'm rich. Only $1,000, I'm not rich. Associated with this guy, I'm your mom, why don't you listen to me? Yes, I am your mom, that should be there. But why don't you listen? They are already independent. I appreciate you that you are my son. I'm very happy that I fulfilled my obligation towards my son. No, you don't allow the identification to work through your mind, then what happens? Anxiety and the stress is not there. So identification constantly and consistently bring the anxiety and the stress. They also bring the fear and the insecurity. Why you didn't call me? Why it brings the fear and anxiety? That association becomes very deep. I'm not going against the association. You go to the kitchen, you are associated with the kitchen. You ask the plumber, you get associated with the plumber. So you are only associated with their role and finished. Why? Because I want that peace, happiness, and love should continue in my life. So second problem with identification is fear and insecurity because of attachment to impermanent things. Fosters fear of loss, fear of change, and the death. Emotional turbulence. We get instantly upset and we remain upset for days and weeks. It is all because of the identifications. Because of these identifications, the life, we make our life challenging. Lack of authenticity. I don't live with authenticity. I'm constantly busy. What is the result? The suffering and dissatisfaction. Now, who is responsible for this? For suffering and the dissatisfaction? I am. I am. And who causes this? All these identifications. But when I have all these problems, where the peace, happiness, and the love are, they are hidden behind. They are veiled by these identifications. So they do not come in the front, and then we continue to suffer. We continue to suffer. Are you getting it? It is only the understanding is required. But yes, don't forget to do the practice regularly. Why? Because we are preparing the mind, we are helping the mind to grow and evolve so that it can understand these simple principles in your life, and it will bring a tremendous change in your life. Am I clear? So we are still talking about those identifications, but at the same time we are talking of the peace, happiness, and love. How to live into that life. And that brings us to the journey of joy of living. I'm oversimplifying. I would bet you that you simply remember. You simply remember, and if your mind can remind you in any event outside, you cannot enter into anxiety and duality. That is what I say, the joy of living with the real self. There are two types of joys. Joy, you can say joy, happiness, peace, love. The only two kinds. You can categorize them into two categories. One joy or one peace or one love that comes from the objects of the world outside. That objects includes people, event, celebration, possessions, relations, etc. You go to the restaurant and you eat the food that you like and you appreciate and you feel it is good. You get a joy, you also get a peace. That is why you say, oh, I love this. You thank the waiter, or you may pay the waiter a bit little more. But once you come out, that joy is gone, temporary. One type of the joy is temporary. that comes in contact with the world outside. What is the world? Oh, it may be an event, it may be a people, it may be an object, it may be the house, and you refurnish your house. I told you that. You told me that you refurnished your bathroom and the kitchen. Remember? Yes, I remember. But that joy is gone. Do you still? Oh no, yes, I'm okay. It is done very good. So one joy is superimposed by the mind because of expectations, because of identifications, because of association. What did I say? Did you understand? One joy or peace or happiness or love we experience from the world outside. You remodeled your kitchen and you say, oh, very good, the joy, peace, and happiness. Can you ask the kitchen that, kitchen, do you have the joy which you gave to me? Or it was an expectation of your mind, it was your imagination in your mind to have the kitchen like this, which was remodeled, gave you the joy, peace, and love? Are you understanding? You love eating pasta, for example, that gives you the joy. So, is the joy present in the pasta or in your expectations that arise in your mind? You look at the shoes on the Google, you like it. Who likes it? The mind likes it. Mind is thrilled with the pleasure by seeing it, and it gives you little more pleasure by ordering it. The pleasure continues in waiting for its arrival, and then you wear it. You have an immense pleasure for a few minutes. After that, you keep the shoes on the rack, the pleasure is gone. This happens, this cycle is being repeated again and again and again with reference to people, with reference to objects, with reference to possessions, with reference to bank account, with reference to the body, everything. This body is also a part of the world. Vishayananda. It is known as the pleasure, peace, and happiness and love from the world outside. In those moments, there are expectations, there is an association, there is an identification, there is a superimposition of pleasure, of joy, of love on the kitchen remodeled, on the bathroom remodeled, on the shoes I purchased and I possess, on the bank account, on the sun. Oh, you agreed with me, you always call me, So I become dependent on him. What is dependence? Association, identifications. So should they not call me? No, they should call me. Very good. They should not call me. Let me call them. Let me call them. Let me call them with peace, joy, and the happiness from within, not from the expectations. Are you getting it? Very important. And then there is Second type of the joy of living, the joy of the living with the real self, if I say so. Joy of living with the real self. So, joy of living with the real self, you discover peace, happiness, and the love within. Within. Again, I'm stressing. Pay attention. Joy of living with the real self. I'm at peace, I'm in happiness, I'm in love with myself. Peace, happiness, and the love are present within. There is no sense of incompleteness. There are two types of peace, happiness, and the love. One is coming from outside. So, when it is coming from outside, then the joy of living is filled with expectations and attachment and association and the delusion. Am I clear? Joy of living is filled with expectations, with associations. And when you discover the second type of the joy, you already know that peace is within you, happiness is within you, the love is within you. Then you don't live in the world. No, I live in the world. But how? Joy of sharing that peace, happiness, and love to everyone, free from expectations and associations. Because when you don't expect your son should call you, and you are already in peace and happiness and the love, when the son knocks at the door, you share. Joy of living by sharing. Joy of living by sharing. The orange tree shares the oranges, mango tree shares. You see that? Orange tree shares oranges. The pasta lying on the plate is sharing a joy by its color, by its fragrance. I'm using the word fragrance for by the smell. Oh, the house is sharing, the home is sharing that calm and peace by its color, by its space. Kitchen is sharing. We are so insensitive. We are so insensitive that we cannot pick up that peace and calm on in our two types of peace, happiness, and love. One type of peace, happiness, and love coming from outside, filled with expectations and associations and events and place and locations. They are temporary in nature, they come and go. Second type, the joy of living with the real self. It is independent 24/7. And there you, so you see that one joy, joy of living with the world outside, full of expectations and attachments and associations. Are you getting it? Associations, the mind mind tries to fill the sense of incompleteness by the word activities. What incompleteness is within me? Can any amount of dollars, can any big home or mansion, can anything from the world fill that incompleteness? Answer is no. Answer is no. So the question comes, should I leave the world? Should I leave the world? No. I should change the mind. I should change the mind. How? Discovery. What is that? Joy of living with the real self. Means the finding the peace, happiness, and love within. Okay, then I have found that peace within me. I do not need the world. Do you have that question in your mind? Do you have that question in your mind? People go for that, they did, and they become very dry for the world outside. That is what, I don't want you to do that. They become dry for the world outside. Oh, I have to do nothing. I have to do nothing with anyone or anything or any event. That dryness will kill you. You will again blame me. Then what should I do? Simple question. How do you know that you have discovered peace, happiness, and love within you? How will you find it? Tell me. Are you thinking? How will you find it? So the second type of the joy of living with the real self, means the discovery. Second is your recognition, that they are recognition and realization. But how do you know that you have recognized and realized? By sharing peace, happiness, and love to the world every day, every moment, in every event, in every condition in your life. Are you getting it? That will help you to understand that now, yes, you know it, it is there within you. But if you don't express, then how do you know? If you do not express, then how can you know? Well, anyone can say that yes, I'm in peace and happiness and love. Anyone can say it. Unless you share. Now what happens? What happens by sharing? What happens by sharing? While sharing, your anxiety, duality, your hatred, the jealousy in the mind dissolves, destroys. That is it's very important to share that. That's what I have been doing. You played me a couple of times. That's a natural with every student on this trading the path. They get totally frustrated. The mind is blocked, and then they do it. Did I not take it in a healthy way? Did I not put some logical and sent you the previous notes of the sessions where you discovered the peace and the joy? To help your mind to recognize the mind in the past. So, what happens by sharing? By sharing, you change the mind. Changing the mind, changes your behavior towards those with whom the mind had anxiety or jealousy or hatred or reaction. It's gone. Okay. It makes sense. Does it make a sense to you? Does it make sense to you? Because I cannot know, I'm sleeping, I'm in peace. In deep sleep, everyone is in peace, happiness, and joy. But no one knows. No one recognizes it. Are you getting it? But when you share, so while sharing that peace, there is no expectation. While sharing, no expectations, no seeking, no identification, no attachment, So you are sharing. I'm using another thing that is very important. So you are sharing, no expectation, no seeking, and no attachment. So what happens then? Your peace and your happiness and your love increases manifold in you. You are thrilled. You are thrilled by peace, happiness, and love. And love in you being shared to everyone. But why it happens? Because the mind dropped impurities. That is what we have been talking. Mind has dropped the impurities. Worldly joy. Two types of peace, happiness, and love. That's what we are working on in this session today. Worldly joy comes from external sources like possessions and achievements and relationship and sensory pleasures. It is fleeting and dependent on many factors outside. We'll talk someday that basically all the pleasures that we receive from outside can be categorized into threefold. And then there is a joy of the real self. The joy of living with the real self is only one. That is the source. That is the source. The joy of living with the real self, joy of living with the real self is only one. Only one, yes. One is the source of peace, happiness, and love. When the mind is trained and educated and empowered to seek only one within for peace, happiness, and love, where is the question of anxiety, reaction, jealousy, hatred, disturbed sleep? Joy of living with the real self. Joy of living with the real self. Are you getting it? Joy of living with the real self. Joy of living with the real self. For example, you see the beauty. Beauty anywhere. Anywhere. Either on the mountain or your pet or someone. So when you are living with the real self, the mind has all appreciation and recognition and peace, happiness, and love blossoms. But if it is seeking, wants to possess, identify, what happens? A sense of incompleteness in the mind starts. And when there is a sense of incompleteness in the mind, there is definitely anxiety, duality, and a conflict is there. Did you understand it clearly? So from today, it may take some time for you because we make mistakes, Now you are in sense of anxiety and reaction instantly. One source, God. Can that happen in your life? But what to do, I like this beautiful thing. Appreciate it. Do you know the difference between appreciation and association? Association comes from when the mind starts finding that love, peace, and happiness from the world outside, from the sun. No, let me express, oh, he is my son, let me. You are increasing your peace, happiness, and love. And you are transcending all the anxiety, the joy of living with the real self. The joy of living with the real self. One thing missing in the lives of millions who claim they are suffering. Can you tell me what is that? Joy of living with the real self. Joy of living with the real self means presence of real self. What do you mean by presence? It is always present. It is always present. I do not recognize, or I recognize. So I recognize is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. You recognize means what? Ignorance is gone. Ignorance is gone. Your attachment is gone. You are not seeking peace, happiness, and love from the world. Remember, understand it clearly. You are still seeking from the world what? Basic needs. You go to the kitchen, grab a cup of coffee. Does it make any problem to you, to give you an anxiety? No. Basic needs. Social and professional needs. Joy of living with the real self. It is not the absence of a big home or a mansion. It is not the absence of a smartphone. It is not the absence of eating in a it is not the absence of having a Gucci purse. It is not an absence. It is not an absence of your son, daughter with you, because you know they are living their life. They are present. It is not an absence of praise from our relations. Are you getting it? Joy of living with the real self. Living with the real self means living from a place of awareness and understanding of your true nature. That is the living in mindfulness, and that is what Buddha teaches. That is what the Jesus teaches. Love is God. So when I say love is God, and when I also say the God is present everywhere, it means I'm in love dealing with you, I'm in love dealing with the second guy, I'm in love dealing with my own life. Living with the real self means living from a place of awareness and understanding of your true nature. Living in the mindfulness, what Buddha says. It is the state of being centered and connected to the source of all the creation. It is the state. Being present. When? Here and now. With your son? Yes. With your daughter? Yes. When you wake up in the morning? Yes. In the afternoon? Yes. In the kitchen? Yes. When you lie down on the bed? Yes. What are you saying? That is the meaning of state of being present. Centered. Connected to the source. This brings about a profound sense of the peace, happiness, and the love. The beauty of this journey, when you are already a seeker, the beauty of this journey, beauty of the journey of Eastern wisdom is what? In the journey there is a peace, happiness in the journey. In the journey there is peace, happiness, and love. There is peace, happiness, and love. Doing the journey, that is that is also full of peace, happiness, and love. And when we reach or recognize or realize what we realize, there is abundance of peace, happiness, and love, and then we return to the world. We return to the world of people, place, possession. There is an opportunity for sharing. There is an opportunity for sharing peace, happiness, and love. When, where, with whom, with everyone. Why? Now that jealousy, that hatred, that reaction, that anxiety have all gone. Joy of living with the real self. Think. I'm not saying that, I'm right, but I'm teaching on the basis of the teachings of the great masters. So, finding the real self is discovering a hidden treasure inside your home. If someone has seen and projected, no, deep inside you, dig deep inside your home at this place, you'll find the treasure that will make you a billionaire. Eastern wisdom is saying the same thing. It is not projecting, it knows with authenticity that deep inside me, peace, happiness, and love exist. Whether I'm in anxiety, it exists. I'm in stress, it exists. I fight with someone, it still exists. You know that fighting still and anxiety and duality belongs to the mind, not to you, not to your real self. Finding the real self is like discovering a hidden treasure within. One master says that self, that's real self, that's self existent, is pierce the senses to turn outward. Very important point. Why finding the real self is a joy? That is what we are trying to understand. If you do not understand, you send me the questions, but after listening at least 5 times. So the master says here, why finding the real self is a joy. I'll give you an example to make you understand that. The morning sun travels, the light travels hundred thousands of miles, but when it falls in my house, it has to pass through many skyscrapers in the clouds. So when there is a morning, I know it's a morning. Morning because of the sun. Even though I don't see the sun directly, I see, yes, sun is present. I see the sun is present. Am I making a sense? I don't see the sun. morning full of light. I have an indirect experience of the sun. Clear? Now come to this, what Master says. Master says something that we are indirectly aware of this real self, which we indirectly, no, let me rephrase the sentence. That real self is indirectly present in our life and we forget it because of the ignorance. How do you say that? Yeah, we have to understand that. So, to understand that, we have to, again, I will ask you a few simple questions. When you wake up in the morning and your eyes are open, do you ask your eyes to see the wall and the computer and your home? No. They are just visible. Any sound is perceived, smell is perceived, sensation is there, is it not? Did you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying in a simple way, when you wake up, all your five sense organs perceive their respective objects and recognize those objects because of the mind inside, and then the mind inside is empowered by the real self. That real self is a pure consciousness, so that empowers the mind, and then the mind empowers the sense organs, so indirectly that real self is present here and now. Did you understand? Look at the opposite way. You look at some object minus consciousness. Can you look at it? No. Mind is there. Eyes are open, eyes are 100% perfect. But the consciousness is not there, I cannot see it. That consciousness inside is real self. So real self goes through the mind, then through the sense organs, then through the objects, then we recognize the world, we appreciate the beauty of the existence. We have nothing to do except to appreciate the beauty. That is the real meditation practice. That is the meaning of living in a moment. And that consciousness, cloud is now no more. That consciousness falls clearly on the transparent mirror of the mind, goes to the sense organs, minus anxiety, duality, jealousy, hatred, demand, expectation, association. It is the gift given to us by the existence. When we discover ourselves, we recognize our true nature as a pure consciousness. We transcend the limitations of the body and the mind. Identification. You know those skyscrapers? The light is filtered. Still they reach my home. We experience unconditional peace, happiness, and love. We are free from the constant we will understand how running after the world causes the suffering, how running after the world causes the suffering in our next lesson, and how that level of identification causes so much of pain and the suffering.